brother built that for us when we got married.
You're
It's
kidding. You
handmade.
built it?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's a really good wood craftsman. The trick was transporting it from Chicago out here.
Oh, good God. That
He
is a
did that. He
Okay, Mayor,
Okay,
whenever you are.
perfect. So I'm going to call the meeting to order and let's all stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
He's sitting down.
I pledge allegiance
To
Allegiance
the
to the
flag
To the
flag
flag
to the
United
United
of the
States
States
United
of
United
States
States
of
America
of
America
America,
and
and
to
to
the
the
and to the
republic
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 for
republic
which it
for which it
which it
stands,
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 one
one
nation,
one
nation,
nation,
nation
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
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 with
with
justice
with
for all.
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice
justice for
for
all.
all. Okay, so our first, okay. My camera is not adjusting, but okay. It's a lot of my face. Hopefully it will adjust. We're going to start with the police department budget workshop.
Arlene, were you going to explain why
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Almost forgot that. So we just wanted to explain that we are remote. We're going remote because of the the very bad road conditions in Irvington and all the snow, and there's no parking. Also, we're under emergency, let me pull that up. We still are under the governor's proclamation declaring a disaster emergency. It's through March 24th, 2026. And the Public Officers Law, Section 103A, subsection 3, which waives all requirements for a Zoom meeting if the governor has declared a state of emergency. And the local government, which the Village of Irvington did, determined that the circumstances necessitate um, this a remote meeting. And we don't yeah, so we're doing it because we feel like it would impair our ability to meet in person is impaired by the situation, the due to weather. So thank you, Marianne, for reminding me. Okay, so now we can move to the police department budget workshop. Welcome,
Charles,
Frank.
were you going to pull
Welcome,
that,
Bruce.
hello.
the budget document up? Okay, perfect. So the first line on here is the salary increases. Now it reflects the current positions. It reflects the filling of the two vacant positions, step increases, and current contractual salaries since the PBA contract expires at the end of this fiscal year. We don't know what any other increases would be. So those will be budgeted for in contingency. So this line reflects what currently is. One of the items on there, in addition to the full-time salary step increases and the holiday pay, all of which are contractual, is the promotion of two grade 1 officers to detective. Chief, I don't know if you want to talk to that a little bit.
Sure. We currently have two officers that are assigned under the detective division that have been in those roles for quite some time. Once they hit their 18-month period is when then they would get promoted to detective or appointed to detective. So we have one that's coming up in about a month or so, and then another one in July. And those are two individuals that have been assigned, like I said, in those divisions doing that work for some time as police officers.
All right, so then the next line is the overtime line. There's no increase reflected on there right now, but this line would also be subject to increase the same amount as the new negotiated contract. So increases for that will also be put in contingency. The crossing guard line, the increase there of 1,824 is just the reflection of what the current salaries are. The longevity unused sick line, that's a contractual item, and that's decreasing by $5,950, and that tends to happen when long-time employees retire, and then we get newer employees, and they wouldn't make the same amount in longevity. The equipment line, there's a $3,000 increase, and that's for the cost and installation of equipment in the new vehicle that's also budgeted. And then we're also removing $6,000 from the equipment line, and that's from a prior year one-time expense that we had in there for the vehicle license plate reader. On the support services line, we have a savings of $2,100, and that's for IDI core program research software. That's now covered under the technology grant that we were awarded, so we don't have to cover that expense within the operating budget. Next is a $500 increase on the supplies line, and that's for community events. I'll skip over the $5 increase for the business electronics. Next up is 38,000, and that's the admit impact increase from 10,000 to 13,000. That's the annual expense, and then there's a one-time conversion implementation fee of $35,000 to join onto Greenberg's system as a shared service. Chief, do you want to expand on that one?
Yeah, so this is for our records management system. I'm sure some of you heard me talk about it before. The records management system that we're currently using, we've been operating on that. It's called Impact 2 since the early 2000s. It's no longer been supported by the vendor for a few years. It doesn't receive any updates. It's not really compatible with modern reporting or any type of technology integrations. Our IT company, A1, has done a good job at keeping the system operational for us, but it's really being maintained through workarounds now, which creates a risk for the system to fail. Like I said, we're not getting support if we have any critical issues from the vendor anymore because it's no longer supported as a platform. It's got very limited functionality. It doesn't have the ability to integrate with newer technologies that we're using. And it also doesn't have the same compliance abilities that new systems have. So it's been at the end of its life cycle for some years, and we've known that for some years, which is why we were participating in the countywide RMS project for some years now. That was started in around 2020 or 2021, and it was a multi-agency countywide initiative for records management systems to reduce the cost through a shared service, improve interagency information sharing, and standardize record systems as much as we could across the county. But for a variety of reasons outside of our control, that project did not move forward for us, and we had to back out of it. So we had to start exploring other options. So we explored a standalone RMS just for us through various companies. We evaluated purchasing an RMS for a department our size, and we found one thing amongst most of the RMS out there is that it's extremely expensive. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars as initial fees to start up the system, and then tens upon tens of thousands of dollars in annual maintenance fees for a single department to get on these programs, even a small department of our size. So that financially it's really not practical for us to do that. So along with a few of the other chiefs in the villages within Greenberg, we started approaching the idea of doing some type of shared service with Greenberg. And joining what Greenberg has currently as their RMS system with CAD, which is computer aided dispatch, which is something that we don't have right now. The advantages to being able to join Greenberg's system is it eliminates the extremely large stand-up cost, reducing it drastically down to roughly $35,000 or so from hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have a shared infrastructure, which also shares maintenance. The annual expense is our share of the maintenance, which this is a preliminary quote. It could be closer to 15,000. Significantly long-term savings for us. Operationally, it's a modern, fully supported RMS system with the CAD component, computer-aided dispatch component. It's greatly improved records management with reporting abilities. It's compliant with all the New York State and federal reporting requirements that we have. And we also have enhanced data sharing amongst the villages in Greenberg. And it is scalable for future technology integrations, which we currently don't have with our system. It's a vendor-supported system. It's CGIS compliant. Right now, it will be maintained at Greenberg, but it could go to the cloud at some point. And it will eliminate reliance on unsupported platforms. In addition, with the potential of joining it with other villages, it becomes, we're not just one small agency that's on it, we're a larger group of people, and you get usually more support that way from the company. So our current system, it's been outdated for years. We've been working on this for quite some time. This is the best option. I think it's a very good option for us, and it saves us quite a bit of money. And we get a lot of support by joining Greenberg's RMS because it's a product they've been using now for, I think, 15 years, and it's just been redone, and they're happy with it. They're happy with the support they get from the company. The infrastructure's there already, so it's not a heavy lift for us to join, and it's got a lot of new features, and the compliance side of it is a lot better, and the reporting side of it's a lot better for us.
Chief, how did the breakdown of how much we pay versus how much Greenberg pays? And are there any other municipalities involved at the moment? And if so, when they come on, does our price change or not?
So the breakdown for what we're paying to join is based on how many users you have, how many licenses you need. So it's broken down based on how many vehicles you have and how many desktop computers that are going to be accessing the program and things like that. The initial startup fee, it's us, Ardsley, and Dobbs Ferry that are looking to join it right now. By doing so, we're getting a huge discount on the switchover, dropping it down to our initial cost roughly to $120,000 split 3 ways evenly between the 3 villages. That's the $35,000 initial join up, which could get reduced slightly if another jurisdiction joins it. Once we join, our maintenance stays the same. And if somebody else wants to join later on, they can, but it's going to be significantly more money if they're doing it by themselves. By joining the 3 villages joining at one time, it's meeting a threshold within their parameters that they're able to give us quite a discount.
That
Sounds really useful. It's a quick question. I remember like a past year we talked about like breaking down some of the data around like incidents that happen in the village. This sounds like this would actually be much more like this system would actually work for that. It sounds like a really like very helpful. Is that correct?
That's so yeah, I've went to some demos for it. I'm no expert in it by any means yet. This difference is this is going to give us CAD and RMS. And basically, from my understanding, CAD, everything we do goes into our CAD system. It doesn't necessarily become a report, but this will be able to track the daily activities of the officers better. If they're doing something that isn't necessarily a report to write, but they're doing something else, it will go into the CAD system, and then we'll be able to use that to pull some data out of. So yeah, from what I've seen, it seems like we'll be able to get a lot more useful data out of this system than we have in our previous, our current system.
And
Well,
overall, overall, the cost though goes up a little bit for this kind of program, but it seems to be a better program than what you had in the past because I think that the program was outdated. Is that the issue?
Yeah,
I'm just looking. It says there's an increase from 10 to 13 plus the one-time conversion. So it's a
Yes.
little more expensive.
So the annual maintenance is more expensive. Like I said, this is a preliminary quote, so that 13 actually might be a little bit more, closer to 15. But we're speaking with the company now about migrating data, and if we don't migrate our data from our old system to our new system, it's going to reduce the upfront cost even more. So our upfront cost could drop from 35,000 down, to closer to 15,000 potentially. I'm still working through it with them. It is the annual maintenance is slightly more, but once again, it's a much better system than what we're using now. And we really, we have to move to something because our system is old and not being supported for so many years. And, we've been working at different angles, and ends up being, our best bet. And, financially, it makes the most sense too. Trying to do, I've spoken to other jobs, that are 30 people, 30 officers, 35 officers. They went with some other vendors on their own. It's insane the amount of money that's, these RMS systems are able to charge, for a standalone. It's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to set it up. And then the annual maintenance are 50 to 60 to $70,000. And I'm not talking about a huge job. It's, slightly bigger than ours.
Are there benefits to sharing between the communities? Like, is it going to be easier to share between like Ardsley, Dobbs, and Greenberg? Is there any benefits in it?
Yeah, so we'll have enhanced data sharing, meaning there's certain information that other jurisdictions will be able to see, not everything, but they'll be able to see certain information, whereas we don't have that functionality now.
Is there any problem with them seeing stuff that we don't want them to see? Can we restrict data if we need to?
Yeah, we have full control on what we decide we want to share. And collectively, the chiefs will get together and kind of see what everybody's comfortable with, as far as access. It's going to be very limited in what people could see, but even if it's just they see somebody's name, at least they know they had a dealing with somebody. They could call and find out more information like you normally would. It's just you're not shooting in the dark now. You have the ability to say, hey, Ardsley dealt with this person before. Let's call over there and see what's going on, whereas you would have to just call randomly and say, hey, have you ever dealt with somebody, this person before?
Sounds great.
Chief, in our conversations, you mentioned one of the benefits of joining in with this collaborative group would be that, let's say Greenberg found a glitch in their system that they were able to work with the vendor to solve. They would solve it with the vendor, and then the vendor would be able to push the fix through to the various law enforcement agencies, improving the operations and service for everyone. Is that correct?
100% correct. Everything that Greenberg gets filtered and pushed to all of us. So they're the host agency, basically. Everything they get, we'll get. So anytime there's an issue, Greenberg gets it fixed, it gets pushed out into our system as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So the next line is there's a $600 dash cam annual maintenance increase. The next line is for the body cam annual maintenance. So this increase of 11,800 here reflects the version that has the AI capabilities. So that version is 48,800 per year. If we didn't go with the AI version, the cost would then decrease to $39,100 per year.
What does that mean, the AI?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was wondering the
I
same.
mean,
Yes,
that's
I'm
the,
gonna
yeah.
explain all that. So there's three. Our body camera contract is up. It's been 5 years coming up, which is kind of crazy. It kind of flew by. So we're up for renewal, and I say we have two options. There's really three options, but our first option is we could just pretty much renew what we have now. That would be the $39,100 per year contract. It would be for the 25 body cameras that we have now, with another 5-year contract, and we would get new cameras every 2.5 years like we have now. There's a really expensive option that's even more money, that's like enhanced AI that does a lot of stuff. And then there's this one, the 48,800, it's called AI Assistant. And what we would get by going with this one there's 3 features that we would get that we don't have now. The first feature is the AI Translate. This allows for real-time translation of over 50 languages without the use of a physical translator or other device, which could be distracting to officers. So what happens is a person can speak in whatever language they speak. The body camera will determine the language, translate it to English for the officer in real time. The officer then speaks English into the body camera, and the camera translates it to that language for the person. And you go back and forth during the interaction, and it keeps a transcription of the interaction for your report later. It's got 50 plus different languages. It's easy to use. You just press a button on it. There's a video on there. If you Google it, you could see a video, a demo for it. Press the button, and the person speaks into it. It determines what language it is, and then translates it for you, and you go back and forth that way. So that's one of the functions that this program has. The second function is called Policy Assistant. You would upload all of our police department policies to our evidence.com account. The system is then able to search through the policy based on the call for service that we're responding to, and it could give the officer a plain language summary of the policy within our department manual as needed, as if you ask for it. So it provides useful information quickly on scene without having to be looking it up on your phone or on the computer if you're not sure what's going on. So if you get to a motor vehicle accident, you could ask it, what are the first steps I need to take here, or what do I do in this instance? And it will point you to your policy and give you the language from your policy directly from our specific policy that we upload to it. And then the third function is just general inquiry, which is basically like a cell phone, when you ask Siri or if you ask Alexa something, you could ask just general inquiry stuff and it'll pull it from the internet. So they could ask, what time is the next train from Irvington to New York City for somebody, or what's the weather going to be, or any type of general question like that. So it's like the light version of their full program. They give you these three functions with the AI Assist. It's, at a cost of $9,000 and change, per year additional for the program. But those are the three features that you would get for that.
You can hear me, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask, I guess I know that we diversified our police force and we have some Spanish speakers, but how often do officers encounter sort of language barriers?
It's fairly frequently. It's probably close to daily as far as even people coming in asking questions about, like, a lot of times people come here and ask questions about the court and stuff. And I would say it's predominantly, and by predominantly, probably almost always Spanish. We don't really encounter too many other languages. Once in a while we will, and that really poses, some challenges, but it's mostly Spanish. We do have 3 to 4 employees now that do speak Spanish, which they're being tapped on to do that frequently, including our park enforcement officer who's here Monday through Fridays, which is good. So sometimes if somebody comes in a lobby, we have to call him in to just do some translation for us, or one of the officers that speaks Spanish. It's multiple times a week that we are using somebody to do some translations.
Okay. And then I guess have you been able to sort of see the demo of this? Because I mean, one of the things that I would be concerned about, or just in terms of sort of steps around process and what your process and procedures are, sometimes AI can be a little bit kind of, not super accurate always. So do you have any concerns around that? Or, I mean, were you able to see how it works?
I haven't demoed the full capabilities yet. We can demo them. They can turn it on because our body cameras that we currently have are capable of this program. It's basically them flipping a switch on their end, and we could demo it. They usually only give you 30 days, so I didn't want to do it just quite yet. But yeah, I think, as far as, especially with like the policy, I think, it's good for some information, but it would have to get, you'd have to verify it with the policy first before taking action. So that's one of the things that I would just be, weary about, that, making sure officers aren't just listening to what it says and doing, exactly what it says right away without verifying first. It doesn't, it's not meant to take place of a supervisor or, of direct, knowledge of anything like that. It's just to help assist you in certain things with basic information, not too complex situations.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether the technology is there, because I think on the legal side, there's a lot of mistakes. There are a lot of programs that kind of work up to a point, but they're not quite 100, like quite accurate. And I would that would make me nervous in policing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. In reality, the one function that I'm like about it is the translate function. But they don't give you the option to. It's these three for for that
Mhm.
package. They don't give you an option just to add that one thing in. Because if I could, I would just do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
I have to agree with Arlene there. I do a lot of Spanish English translation, and WhatsApp just added a new feature for automatically translating, and it's crappy. I can't use it. I get the WhatsApp translation and I'm like, what are these guys saying? And so I go back to Google Translate and I get the same thing perfectly clear. Uh, so it's like it depends on what translation they're using and how well it works or not, uh, whether it's whether it can work. So I would, even with the translation feature, I would test it out and compare it to what you get free with Google Translate on your phone or some other feature.
yeah, we could certainly demo the technology and run it through a lot of testing before we would subscribe to it. In multiple languages too, whatever languages we could test out.
I'm sure all this stuff is going to take over in like 3 years, but it's still in its infancy. Although the
Would you
price
have
doesn't
interest?
seem to be terrible.
No.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you would need to see the accuracy of how good you would have to test it, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, if it's like a little more explored, would you be interested there? I think there are a lot of devices of mixed quality. I mean, as David was saying, I think the apps are quite varied, but there are a number of them that do that kind of automatic translation. I work in a school, and the same issues come up all the time in the city. So we've tried a number of them and with very mixed results, but there are a few that I think are very promising that might be, I think, what you're looking for as well. Because it happened particularly at the precinct? It seems like you have people come up to the counter there.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
mean, that's just one example of it.
Mhm.
On the streets, it does happen where we're dealing with people when they call for help or traffic stops and
Mhm.
things like that. I would say, I guess the benefit of using the body camera is it's storing everything in our database that we have, and it's
Mhm.
CJIS compliant, and it keeps a transcription for discovery purposes.
Got
Where
it.
if you use some type of outside functionality, you might not get that.
Okay.
But when we have an officer or somebody working that speaks Spanish, the easiest thing for us to do is generally call them to the scene or to back to headquarters to do the translation because it's just the easiest and most accurate way to do it.
Chief, could you speak to one element? I think you already addressed it, but I just wanted to touch on it a little bit. The AI feature that allows them to search through uploaded documents and procedures. You said that you would search the records and it would read back what the policy is that you uploaded. It's not necessarily interpreting the policy for itself, but it instead is searching for it and then reading back the policy to the officer. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's going to give a plain language summary of the policies that we upload to it. So it's going to pull it directly. It's not searching any other database. It's not searching the internet. It's only searching our policies for whatever keywords that you're asking for, and it's going to pull it out. But even if it's giving a summary, you still just want to make sure it's 100% correct in what it is reporting back to you, or even maybe that in the order it does for it to make sense. But once again, it's something that we could demo and test out.
Yeah. What about how does this interact with the app on the phone app? Didn't we as the police for the police review committee, didn't we do like an app? There's an app of your manual, right? That people have.
Yes. Yep.
access to? Okay.
Yeah.
And how do our officers using that?
Yeah. Frequently. Yeah. What they do now, what I've heard officers doing is they'll star and put favorites, like policies that they reference quite frequently, so that they're in their favorites section, and they'll click on those quickly. But yeah, they're pulling it up. It's searchable, but once again, you gotta pull your phone out, get to the app, search it. You kind of get a little bit distracted.
Mhm.
I guess this is kind of meant towards the quicker, non-distracting way of asking for information on a scene without having to dig through and read through it. I definitely see some benefit to it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's clearly a big cost difference between the two different programs for some additional functionality, but nothing too crazy.
Well, the one big benefit that I see is that you're recording everything so that if, you're in an incident and later someone disagrees with what was said or intended or done, there's a physical uh, text of that available. So to me, that's huge compared to, looking something up on your phone and making a statement that's not recorded, etc.
Yes, true.
Okay.
Moving
Okay, so
on.
next, should we continue?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so next we have some lines of savings or elimination of prior year expenses. There is $4,100 for the elimination of the additional LPR contract and installation of the new county radios, because that was done. In the information technology line, this year, 6 computers to be replaced were budgeted, and that's being reduced to 4 next year. And then also there's $2,000 for vehicle CPUs that were all upgraded to Windows 11, and that's in the current year budget. Then moving on to the traffic control department, there's $3,000 there, and that's the annual maintenance software access costs for the message board and portable radar sign. This is a new item that will now be annually recurring. This was in our capital budget. We had approved the purchase of the message board and portable radar sign. So the first year, those services were covered under warranty, but now that's going to be a annual operating cost. Then we'll move on to the parking department lines. The salary increases, that's reflective of what the current salaries are. And then there's a $500 increase on the supplies line for the purchase of the cost of parking tickets. So in total, the impact or the net increase to the tax levy for all these items is the $55,282, keeping in mind that any new contractual increases are currently in contingency.
Sorry, I know this is a small expense. Can we go back to the increase in supply costs for community events? Is that because you're having more events or what's?
Yeah, just no, it's not that we're having more events, it's just so like it's first when we go to community events and we're handing things out, or if we're doing cocoa with a cop or coffee with a cop,
Uh-huh.
ice cream stuff. We've been getting a few donations that we've been putting into that line too. So I think it's just the $500 increase just to keep us in line with what I think we were spending, yeah, for the events.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are we? Okay. So Katie, you're going to continue?
That's all I had. So just if there's any questions, then if not, we can just move on with the agenda.
Okay. Any
I guess,
questions?
yeah, I mean, not in like the changes, but I guess like in underlying budget, I mean, I wonder if it's worth talking about the equipment. Like I saw there's like $50,000 for that a hybrid police vehicle, and then $20,000 for more vehicle equipment. I guess it doesn't show up here because it's not a change from last year, but those are new purchases for this year.
Correct. So it would be purchasing a new vehicle to replace an existing vehicle, and then all of the associated equipment costs.
Okay. The hybrid police vehicle, is that like the parking enforcement one, or is that a different hybrid police car?
No, those are the Ford Explorer hybrids that we use for patrol. Yeah, it would be a replacement of a patrol vehicle.
Okay, thanks. All right, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any questions. Does anyone?
I don't have any other questions.
Nope. Okay.
No, I think it's straightforward. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chief.
No problem.
I'm excited to hear how that AI works. It does sound interesting
We could
and
we could set
useful.
up we could set up a demo or a time up in Village Hall. We could check it out.
Oh, yeah, cool. I'd do that.
Okay.
Sure.
AI with a cop.
Yeah.
It's a little
That could be a fun
scary.
community event. Yeah.
Popular. I think that would be popular.
Maybe if you
Oh.
have puppies too.
Mhm. Okay.
Good point.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Chief. Okay. So, I guess checks over 25,000. We have 3 checks. This week we have Musco Sports Lighting LLC, Scenic Hudson LED light replacement installation. That's the purpose. It's from the capital fund, and the amount was $82,667. Then Bayer Blinder Bell Architects. The purpose is facilities planning professional services for services between December 1st and December 31st of 2025, also coming from the capital fund. It's $39,233.28. And the last one is Stratagem Security Inc. It's an upgrade to the village's video servers and software from the capital fund. It's for $62,906.65. We did not have any correspondence this week. No, that's unusual. Okay, public comment. Anyone online?
There's one hand up online.
Okay.
Lori Friedman, you may now speak.
Hi, I had sent a proclamation to Arlene Burgess and the trustees to request a International Dark Sky Week for April 13th to the 20th of April.
I did see that. Did that come in, Charles?
I don't remember seeing it. Did it come to the board at Irvington?
Yeah, it's on 2/9. Let's see. A letter from Lori Friedman.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Lori, we apologize for not including your letter.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we
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 can
will-
add it to the next meeting on the 2nd of March.
Great.
and we'll take it, yeah, we'll take it under advisement, and then for that meeting, we'll we'll address it. And apologies again, because we should have addressed it at this meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So Charles, you may not have gotten that, so we'll circulate that to you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's in the new mailbox. Whatever.
Okay. Any
February
other?
9th. Whatever. That
Okay.
issue is near and dear to my heart, so I'm I'm very interested in supporting Dark Sky.
Great.
Okay. So we will definitely consider that for the next meeting, Lori. Any other public comments? By the way, I'm sorry, I should say, Lori, if you want to talk about it, you can. You know, if you want to sort of address it, you can do that as well.
Well, I'm just saying that it's really important, as you know, because 90%, 99% of people live under a light polluted sky, and there's a lot of energy waste and visual impairment, glare. It totally disturbs drivers. There's a lot of environmental consequences besides disorienting birds and the loss of a dark sky, the starry sky. There's a lot of also health issues. It affects your circadian rhythms, and there's also a lot of medical research done on causing breast and prostate cancer. So, you know, I think that Irvington even has a somewhat of a bylaw, but the bottom line is that all lights should really be useful. They should have a purpose. They should be targeted and only fall where the light is needed. And they should be a low level, no brighter than necessary, and controlled, like even on motion sensors, and warm colors, a Kelvin of about 2700. I just think it's very important that Irvington really contributes to dark sky awareness, and that it's only really, the light is really only, it should be shielded and only where needed. I would really hope that you would even have, you know, I asked for a proclamation to have Irvington be a part of the Dark Sky Week, International Dark Sky Week, April 13th to the 20th. And I'm trying to get some organization of people to maybe have something done, maybe even in the Irvington Woods or maybe at Matheson, where we can have some telescopes and show everybody how great it is to be able to see the dark sky.
Thank you, Lori. We appreciate your comments. Okay. Any other public comment? No?
There are no more hands up online.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna, any questions on the consent agenda? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to open this public hearing, right? That's what I'm doing, Charles? You're muted.
Charles, you're on mute.
Yes, you're opening up the
Yes.
public hearing.
Okay, so I'm opening up the public I have to make a motion to do that? Yeah.
Motion and a
Make
second.
a motion to open the public hearing to consider the proposed amendment to the village code to add a provision concerning the senior citizen parking. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Right?
Aye.
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 Okay. So we open this public hearing. Do we have anybody that wants to talk? Any hands? We know
Would-
there's no one in the room.
Would you like me to give a brief
Sure.
summary?
Yes.
So the purpose of this is to provide a mechanism by which the village could designate the parking lot next to the senior center at 29 Bridge Street in Irvington as senior parking during the hours of 8 and 3, Tuesday through Friday, which are the hours when the senior center is occupied and running programs. The purpose behind that is that many of the people and the seniors who participate in the programs there have mobility issues, need to be able to park close to the facility. And adjacent to that parking lot are 2 sports courts, a basketball court and a pickleball court. And what often happens is on a beautiful day, pickleball players and basketball players park in the lot that is generally intended to be used by the seniors for between the hours of 8 and 3, but there's no mechanism for the village to enforce that. So the local law change provides the mechanism to designate that lot for senior parking between the hours of 8 and 3, Tuesday through Friday.
Okay. And currently that is the rule though, right? That it's supposed to be senior parking from that time. It's just not enforceable.
Right, because there's nothing in the code that
Yeah.
has a good enforcement mechanism. There's signs out that say that. But without an enforcement mechanism, there's nothing the police can do if someone parks there.
Well, the police can't really determine whether it's a senior car or it's
So
a
I
pickleball.
can speak to that. So some part of the intent of this local law change is to create a procedure by which we could assign senior parking to people, similar to how you get a parking tag if you park an aqueduct lot. When seniors register every year to be part of their to do the programs there, they would give the senior center staff their vehicle license plate number and get a hanging tag. So then you'd be able to see which cars belong to a registered senior participating in programs and which one wouldn't. And obviously there's going to be some education and outreach to people who may not be aware of this to ease them in, but ultimately the goal is to formalize a method to allow us to enforce.
I might add that Arlene and I were at an event during the campaign at the senior center, and this was almost their number one issue. They were adamant that this was a major problem for them and that we had to do something immediately about it. So they are very connected to this specific issue.
Okay.
Sorry,
Seems like a reasonable.
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
can you remind me, is it no one can ever park there, or it's hours, right?
It's
between
hourly. It's just between the hours of 8 and 3.
Okay, I just
That,
wanted to check because I know the
Friday.
senior center's
8
only
to
open.
3,
Yeah,
Tuesday through Friday.
got it.
So on the weekends, on Mondays, they can park there. It's fine. But just to remind members of the public, there's parking all along Scenic Hudson Park on that side. And in fact, we're putting in EV chargers over in the spaces nearby there to encourage people to utilize them while going to the park. But even those, keep in mind, are going to be EV preferred. So they're not going to be restricted just to EVs. So there's plenty of place for people to park if they want to go frequent the parks during the daytime. It's just we're trying to be cognizant of the mobility issues that some of our seniors possess. We want to make sure that we remove any barriers they have to participate in our programs.
And is there an option for like a temporary tag if you like say have like a meeting at the senior center, or you're like doing a program at the senior center and you park there, or?
Oh, it's just for seniors.
It's just for the seniors. There generally are not meetings there between 8 and 3 unless they're with the seniors.
Well, I meant what if the seniors bring, I don't know, bring someone in to do a speaker series or an event?
Well, we can figure that out if
Yeah.
we could give out like a floater or something.
Right.
But in essence, there's plenty of parking there. So unless the speaker also has mobility issues, there's also handicap parking, not only in the lot itself, but then in Scenic Hudson right there.
Mhm.
So I'm fairly confident that anyone who comes, we could accommodate.
Their issue was, it's there are a number of them that don't have handicap permits, or that have handicap permits, and then when they get there, there's not enough handicap spaces. So they have mobility issues, and they're just sort of emotionally upset of, here I am with my walker, and the only place for me to park is down the street when this pickleball player is occupying this space over here.
Yeah.
So people without mobility issues, they can walk an extra 40 yards.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Um, do we need to leave this one open? No.
No,
I think you can
we
close
can
it.
vote on it tonight.
Yeah, I think we can vote on it. I think it's not very controversial. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Closing it?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now that proposed amendment goes into effect, Marianne?
I'm sorry,
I think
what?
we
Well,
we
you
to
just
vote on it
voted to
still.
close the
So
public
close it.
hearing.
We voted to close the public hearing, so
Yeah,
now you need to vote on the amendment.
you can vote on
Yeah.
the local law if you're ready to.
do we have that here? No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's in the
it was
agenda.
attached to
It's in the agenda.
the agenda.
Okay.
Page 21.
Okay, but do we have a resolution for that? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay, it's there. It's just not on the agenda. Okay.
it's on the version I have. You want me to share my screen?
Yes, can you do that? It's
Yes.
not in the my packet.
Oh,
I don't
screen.
have the other screen open.
Do you see it?
I do. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to enact the local law amending the vehicles and traffic chapter of the village code to provide for reserved parking for the senior center. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, resolved that the Board of Trustees enacts the attached local law amending the vehicles and traffic chapter of the village code to provide reserved parking for the senior center. Do I need to read the law itself, Marianne?
I think Charles explained it clearly.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, so
I
that,
think there's probably local law number 2, Katie, so it is almost the first. David, you said you wanted it to be the first one you passed. I think it's the second one, so,
mhm,
Yes, is number 2.
yeah.
We should send a note to the senior center that this is happening to make them happy.
yes, Charles has been in good contact with the senior center, keeping them informed of everything. Okay, so the next, we're gonna, Charles, you want to talk a bit about the architectural consultant? Um,
Sure.
yeah, and why we're
Sure.
setting a public, and then we can set a public hearing. Yeah.
So, as we discussed during the streamlining project, it's become apparent that we need to make sure that we add someone with an architectural background onto the ARB. The current code stipulates that the ARB must have one licensed architect on it, and the village has had a hard time finding and retaining a licensed architect to fulfill that requirement, who also doesn't have a conflict or a perception of conflict for doing work that might bring them before the ARB in a private capacity. So we had several discussions as a board. We referred this matter to the ethics board for their thoughtful consideration and review. And the proposed solution would be to amend the code to allow the village to engage a consulting architect to advise the ARB members on applications and give that level of expertise that are needed to provide a thorough review.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to open up a public hearing.
No, isn't this to
No?
call for the public hearing,
It's
Arlene?
just to schedule. a
Oh,
public
it's to
hearing.
Schedule the
schedule it.
public hearing, it would be at the next meeting,
That we would, okay, so we need to make a motion to schedule.
Yeah,
right?
Okay. And the next, so we're gonna, okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to schedule a public hearing to consider the architectural consultant for our March 2nd meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Aye.
Okay. Okay, and related to that, we need to set a public hearing related to the consultant is to consider the consultant fees. So Charles, you want to talk a little bit about that?
sure. So as with other land use boards, the ability to charge fees for professional services to applicants needs to be in the code in order for the village to be able to do that. So consistent with other land use boards and planning zoning boards, we are changing the local law to allow, at the discretion of the chair of the ARB, the professional fees be billed to the applicants.
Okay. Any questions? No? Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to set a public hearing to consider architectural consultant fees for our March 2nd meeting as well. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. So the next item is a special event permit for the the Armor Steiner Octagon House. Is it someone joining us? Charles?
No, they weren't
Oh.
able to make it tonight.
Okay,
Anything they wrote they included a written communication back on the 2nd
Mhm.
outlining the ask, and it's actually included in the agenda tonight for the public's review and the board if you still have questions. Essentially, my understanding is in order for this organization to hold an event at their site, which is located at 45 West Clinton Avenue in Irvington, they need to get board approval. And so they're anticipating having an event on the 30th of August, 2026 from 4 to 7, with a projected capacity of 150 people. So that's what's before the board tonight, but they were not able to come tonight.
okay. Anybody have any questions about the special permit or concerns?
Well, I think the concern that all the neighbors have is the parking issue. And this is a particularly large event. However, I think we're talking about the 250th anniversary, and this is celebrating Irvington being whatever for a day, the capital of the United States for a day or an hour or whatever it was. So I think it's worth making an exception for this particular event. I don't know, Kent, do you have more details on that?
Sure. I mean, I know it's one part of their agreement with the village to be able to throw these types of larger events periodically. I think, but they have to go through the board. Yeah, and so it is going to be part of the larger 250 event. I think it's going to be in conjunction with the Historic Society, and ideally we'll be doing something, I think, with the Irvington 250 group in the park. We had just as a side note, we submitted the recommendation letter and the application for the grant money for this, so that's in the works. I'm just getting ahead of it. I don't have any concerns though. I think they've done this before. They've done fundraisers. I think similar to this for the Historic Society. They know what they're doing, and I think you're right. The parking is the biggest issue, and it looks like in the letter they said that the plan is to have everything over at Main Street School. and something people
Dow's
would
Lane.
walk.
No, at Dow's.
Oh,
Dow's
Dow's Lane, I'm
Dow's
sorry.
Lane,
Oh,
yeah.
I apologize. Dow's Lane, right, which is much closer.
Wait, so what's the plan though so they'd park at Dow's Lane and then walk down the aqueduct to the,
And they're gonna bus.
No, up the road. They're on the same road,
no, they're not.
aren't they?
No.
I think.
Oh,
Armour
you're right.
Steiner's
You're
on
right. They go up and
Clinton.
then it's over. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. It's a block over.
So wait, there's a bus that's going to go back and forth?
I think that's what they do when they have their larger event. You know, a little jitney, something. And the jitney drives right into the site and drops people off and picks them up.
They have done. It doesn't say that in this letter, but
Yeah,
they have.
it doesn't say that. It just says that there's no parking on site and that everything's going to be, there's no parking on site or in West Clinton and people are
Mhm.
parking at Dow's Lane.
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, just for people with mobility issues, in order to be able to have some way to get there, because it is a bit of a walk for some folks.
Mhm.
I mean,
Um,
they have some on-site parking, so I'm assuming they will have
Mhm.
on-site parking for people with mobility. They probably will have some on-site parking for people with mobility issues, and then
That's a good point.
probably off-site parking.
You're right. They can probably have like at least 20 cars there.
Okay.
Well, maybe we should approve this with the reservation that the parking gets worked out or something of that nature.
I'm happy. I mean, I work with them on the 250 group. I'm happy to follow up with them and try to get clarity for you guys.
They did offer to, if there are any questions, we could reach out to them.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you want to go directly and then
Yeah.
they can respond.
I mean, I'm assuming like David, that the parking is not an issue, that they have done events like this and they'll be respectful and they understand the issues on Clinton with the parking and as they put no parking on West Clinton. So I'm fairly comfortable. Charles, if
Yeah.
you could just make sure when you communicate with them, you know, that was brought up and we want to make sure they have that all figured out.
No problem.
Yeah,
So you want
it
to
would be nice
approve
for us to
both
know as well.
conditions?
I'm sure I'll be asked about it, so it'd be
Yeah.
nice for us to be informed.
So is the board projecting to approve with the conditions that parking be thoroughly communicated? And I could also make sure that this chief of police speaks to them to get an assessment of their parking plans. Just so that we have an expert weighing in on that.
That's
Yeah,
great. That's a great idea.
I think that makes sense. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the special event permit for the Armour Steiner Octagon House located at 45 West Clinton Avenue. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Resolve the Board of Trustees approved a special permit for the Armour Steiner Octagon House located at 45 West Clinton Avenue from December 2nd, 2024 through December 1st, 2029, allowing up to 4 history-related special events per year, subject to certain conditions, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the proposed event for the Victorian Centennial Garden Party 1776 to 1876 on August 30th, 2026 from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. for up to 150 people at the Armour Steiner Octagon House, subject to all conditions being met. And we know that Charles is going to follow up on parking. Okay. Okay, so next is volunteer appointments.
We need to vote on that, don't we?
Did we not vote?
No,
Oh.
you
I
took
seconded it.
motion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pull myself together from my very
Yeah, it's
long,
fine. It's fine.
my
You're
very
in
long
different
trip
time
back
zone.
to New York. You guys are all gonna have to keep me on my toes today.
I'm glad you made it back.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Okay, so volunteer appointments. So I'm gonna make a motion to make certain volunteer appointments to the Arts and Culture Committee and to the TOD Zoning Advisory Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Resolve to appoint the following ad hoc volunteer committee members with a term to expire December 2026 to the Arts and Culture Committee. All the following are members: Laura Saracino, Joanna Raikon. I'm having trouble seeing this name.
Una,
Ona Barry,
Una.
Ona Barry Hooker. Honker?
Hooker.
Hooker, I'm sorry. Okay. Kristen Mann, Susie Timmel, Standa Stasik. To the Transit-Oriented Zoning Advisory Committee, Larry Lonke as co-chair, and Dahlia Valdez as a member. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Now I'm gonna miss Mitch for the next one because this was
I'll
his
refuse.
thing. This
I'm
was
gonna
his
refuse.
thing. Thank you.
I'll channel Mitch for you.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion for to accept a resignation from from a volunteer board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Resolve to accept with regret the resignation of Carolyn Joy as a member of the Transit Oriented Development TOD Zoning Advisory Committee effective February 9th, 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay. So, okay. So Charles, you want to tell us about this filming permit for docufilms?
Sure. The first film, it is a 1 day filming in the Irvington Theater, with a concert that will begin at 7 p.m. The title of the film is Sounds of Valor, and so it's a fairly simple filming. The crew and equipment are there. It's 25 people. So it's a fairly low footprint for the village, but it does result in revenue, which we will certainly accept. And the application was thoroughly vetted by Karen Bucieri in my office and the chief of police.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Does the I'm just curious, like, does the permit fee include the use of the theater, or is that separate?
Everything is included within one fee unless there were additional needs. For example, the larger film that happened in December involved using a haze material, a smoke, basically. And as a result of that, we had to turn off our smoke alarms. We had to disable our HVAC. So that resulted in professional fees to allow that to happen. We also had to have a fire watch. None of these are in place here, but if they were, we would have to bill separately for that.
Could I ask a question? It says under describe the plan to notify neighbors. The concert will be advertised and open for public admission. What does that mean?
That means they're hosting an open event that starts at 7 o'clock. There's a concert starting at 7, and I guess they're opening that up to the public.
Oh,
And how do we know who these musicians are or what this is?
I think the director wasn't it Jordan Peele?
Wait,
I
what?
don't, I don't
Wasn't
think
the director
says-
Jordan Peele? I mean, he's like if it's the same one, he's kind of a big deal.
No,
No,
Jordan Campbell.
Michael Campbell, Jordan
Oh,
Campbell.
okay, sorry.
if
I
it
was
was
like,
Jordan
I mean, you
Peele,
were
I
going to
would
create a
know.
I was like,
stampede,
what?
I know.
Marianne.
I
You
was
were
like,
going to
I
create a
will be at that
stampede to that
concert.
concert.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's yeah. It says that it's a concert being performed by veteran musicians.
Okay,
So that's interesting.
That sounds like intriguing, doesn't it?
yes.
What does that mean?
So keep a lookout for those advertisements. I think.
And
Yeah.
further down it says family-friendly rock and acoustic concert.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to approve a filming permit for docufilms. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Resolve to approve a filming permit for docufilms to film in the Irvington Theater on Thursday, April 9th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. with a concert to begin at 7 p.m. The permit fee is $5,000. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Some more filming. You want to talk about the second one?
Yes, this is filming that already happened. This was the filming where it happened on the 17th. There was basically a portion of an Apple Studios production that involved a vehicle driving out of Mercy University, taking a right. Because that property resides in that portion of the property resides in Irvington, we collected a permit fee for that. So it was a very, very, very minimal film production. It occurred previously. So if you recall, I spoke to the board about whether or not there was consent for this because we had kind of a short turnaround. There wasn't a board meeting before we could do it, but we did make sure in speaking with the chief that all traffic mitigation measures were met, and he expressed to me that there was very little impact.
Right. Okay. This is we sort of pre-approved this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to for the approval of the filming permit for Apple Studios Inc. So I have a second.
Second.
Resolve to approve a filming permit for Apple Studios to film near Mercy University on Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The permit fee is $1,000. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. So now we're moving on to approval of Civic Plus website virtual webmaster. Want to talk about that, Charles?
Of course. So as the board is aware, the public is as well, we've been paying extra attention to our web presence of late. Recently, the village allowed me to enter into a contract with Civic Plus to redesign our sitemap, and that redesign is actually live. So if you go to the main navigation bar of Irvington's website, which is irvingtonny.gov, and you navigate to that main blue navigation bar, you'll see that the sitemap has been reorganized to be a little bit more logical about where different links and pages reside within our website hierarchy. So that's been done. However, one big component of this, and largely it stemmed from the work of the streamlining committee, but it's the recommendation that they made applies to various other departments in the village. We need to kind of reorganize the way that our websites are laid out. To use the building department as an example, it's organized in a file system. So similar to how you'd navigate to your file explorer, open up folders, which open up subfolders, which open up more subfolders. It's an older style of web navigation. It's something that we've explored a little bit when trying to operationalize the streamlining. But the reality is that we have very limited bandwidth and expertise within our staff to perform this kind of web design work. And we want it done correctly. And we want it done in a way that it will be more usable for our residents. So this virtual webmaster gives us 5 hours per month of dedicated Civic Plus web page design and creation labor that we can use to build out some of the streamlining that we're looking to do.
Does that time, Charles, include like you're talking about the need for, like changing how the information is laid out, like the information architecture? Is that something that they provide too, or is that something that we need? Yeah.
So some of what we've been talking about with Ed Marin and the building department is building pages onto their website with links off of it. So rather than having to navigate to building department and then forms and then land use forms, and then application forms. You have to navigate down a path to get to what you want. It's designed to have all the forms, for example, on one page, accessible by links without having to navigate to them. That's something that we're working towards now, and Ed Marin has built out the kind of thematic architecture of that, but we need to operationalize it. And I just know for our staff, we're pretty taxed in terms of availability. And the other concern I have is if we do something and it doesn't make sense to our residents, or is not done right, or causes failures or dead links, we're kicking ourselves in the foot.
Yeah. I mean, I think access to information via the website is super important. I think it's money well spent because people really need and use this information and have to be able to access it. So if we don't have good means of accessing it, you know, the fact that the information is out there somewhere doesn't really help anyone. So I think this is
Right.
really important.
I mean, there are other just more basic applications too, finding dead links, solving 404 errors, taking off links that no longer apply. You can do analytics on which links are getting hits, but largely it's meant to provide some of the back end technical support that I think we really need. And down the line, if we elect to no longer engage in this, we don't feel like we need it, then we can do that. But it allows us to kind of get the heavy lift started, because a lot of what the streamlining committee talked about was simplifying how our information is presented. And so we think that we could really utilize it at this point.
Okay.
I think the other important factor is, this is needed across all of our departments.
That's correct.
And so the consistency of the logic needs to be the same. So that when you go to the rec department to register for tennis, the way you click through it is the same way you click through to get a building permit, which is the same way you click through it to, find out what your water bill is going to be, whatever.
Right.
So
Or budget documents. I think the board has been very committed to being very transparent with our financial records and statements, and being able to easily navigate to that item, and rather than having to do a search on the website to find it, I think will go a long way.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
It's
I
all
guess my
about-
only concern is like I wonder if 5 hours a month is enough. But
It's probably not, but that being said, it's a starting point, and we don't have unlimited funds, as the board is aware.
right.
I mean, there are certain things that departmental staff can do. I mean, I can do certain elements of it myself, but speaking to David's point, I want there to be consistency. And so even if I can do it, I might not be able to do it consistently with other departments, and then it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I was wondering, I mean, this is maybe probably out of scope of this, but just because it feels like there's a lot of, like you're talking about, Charles, like a lot of stuff we know we need to do for the village information. But I know just from speaking to some committees, like they would like a better way to like get information, like committee information out to the public. But I feel like Civic Plus, as hard as it is for internal staff to navigate, it would be almost impossible for like volunteer committees to navigate. And so I don't know if I know like different organizations have done different things. Like Irvington Green has their own website they maintain outside of the village website. So I don't know what the answer is there, but if there's like anything we can do to help them get their information out to the community would also be helpful. But I guess there's just a lot to do and prioritize.
I mean,
we were talking. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, please.
I mean, we had been talking, about the welcoming committee is just an example, and like having like a place, like a home for them somewhere in the webpage, but really they're maintaining their own sort of site or some sort of Google page or whatever. So they have that flexibility to have their own space, but like it's also organized in where you could find it. So I felt like that was a good like compromise potentially,
Right.
Because we don't want them like navigating this. I mean, this would be too harsh for this committee's amendment.
Right. I mean, the Irvington Woods Committee is a good example, because, or I can't remember if it's the Green Team or Irvington Woods. They have their own website. So what we do is we just link to it, It's the same with the theater. They have their own Squarespace website. They're listed under department, so a resident knows if they go to their departments, they'll see theater. Then it just directly links to their site, but it's still organized, you know, in a way.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, if that's working, I guess it's okay. I guess there are a lot of concerns with that. You know, just like
Mm,
Squarespace is very expensive, so I don't know who pays for that. But then also, like, if volunteers, move on or something changes, then like do we just lose
mm,
all that information or lose access? And I think it can be complicated to put that on volunteers in the committee to take on themselves.
mm.
But I don't know. But it feels like maybe that's a separate discussion than what this is
Yeah,
for.
I mean, that's an issue in general. I mean, we'll have to, if we do this, we have to continue to pay for a Squarespace domain for the theater. There's our Civic Plus is a template-based website, so there's not a lot of functional, customization you can do to it. There's some, and we're engaging in that now. That
Mhm.
launch should be done soon, but they may have a different I think it's the Irvington or the Green Team uses a Google site
Mhm.
that's free. Charlotte knows how to program that just fine. It looks really good. If Charlotte were to step away, knock on wood, that she doesn't do that. But if we have volunteers leave, we could always incorporate their a website into our website too. And there's certain things I can do. Like with the facilities plan, I update the facilities committee's website. It's not a big deal. If I was too busy, I would ask the virtual webmaster to spend an hour making a change like that. It just depends. I mean, we have to operate within the framework that we have
It
now.
definitely depends for sure. Yeah, I mean, the theater seems like a special case, right? Because it's a marketing website. It's very different
Yeah.
than a village website.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the Civic Plus website virtual webmaster services agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Resolve to approve the proposal from Civic Plus for website virtual webmaster services with an annual fee for 5 hours per month at a prorated amount of $2,539.75 from signing to June 30th, 2026, and an annual recurring rate of $6,783 with an annual uplift effective July 1st, 2026, and further resolve that the expenses for the project be financed from 1.1620461 dash information technology. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. So the next item, we are moving to our next meeting, March 2nd, which is the approval of the employment agreement with the police chief, because
We're gonna
we want to circulate, right? We want to circulate with the agenda, the agreement for the public to see the agreement before we discuss it publicly and approve. Okay, so 17 will be moved to next meeting. Okay. So the next item is the approval of the 2025 Village of Irvington Volunteer Fire Department Service Award listing. Okay.
Yeah, so these the point system is tracked by the Irvington Fire Department, and this corresponds with the LoSAP plan, the length of service awards plan for the fire department. So the way that works is the plan provides retirement benefits to plan members and their beneficiaries. The amount of the plan benefit is $20 per month for each year of service prior to December 31st, 2015, and $25 per month for every year of service after January 1st, 2016, up to a maximum of 40 years. So members who achieved a total of over 50 final points for the year are credited with the 1 year of service. And the fire department also posts these points up on their board for all of the members to review. And the pension piece of the service awards are included in our operating budget, and that's under the local pension department.
Any questions?
Could somebody explain the difference between fire points and rescue points?
Not confidently, I'd have to defer to the chief, but I can ask him.
I'm going to their meeting tomorrow night, so I can ask.
So Katie, I guess for when you look at this, anybody who has final points under 50 do not qualify.
Correct. They wouldn't get the year of service credit. And all of this information then gets provided to an actuary who does like the annual retirement calculations.
Okay.
I mean, the reason I ask about the fire and rescue is anyone who seems to get fire gets rescue too. So I'm a little confused there, but whatever.
We can have them clarify. I'm not sure the difference.
Okay. I'm assuming I don't need to read or summarize the chart. I'm just going to read the resolution. Is sufficient.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the 2025 Village of Irvington Volunteer Fire Department Service Award listing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Resolve to approve the 2025 service listing for volunteers of the Village of Irvington Fire Department to be used for the length of service award plan. Length of services awards plan, LOSAP. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. So the approval of intermunicipal agreements with the town of Greenberg regarding the East Irvington Fire Protection District for 2024 and 2025. Seems like we're a little bit behind since we're in
Yes.
2026. Yes. Okay.
There was a delay in payment, right? Is that
Yes.
what this is about?
Yes. Well, before you get the payment, you have to sign the contract. So the town of Greenberg, we provided the calculation that forms the basis of the payment. And this payment reimburses the village and the fire company for calls to service East Irvington, which is part of Greenberg. And so we had these contracts approved last, I believe it was the end of last month, by the town of Greenberg. And so they've been sent to me to fully execute those agreements. And then a portion of those fees goes to the company directly, which is the resolved for the resolved clause at the bottom. And to be clear, the town of Greenberg has committed to being more timely with these payments. They're asking for the data calculations from each of the villages within Greenberg to be submitted by March. So once we have what we need to provide the calculation, we'll submit that to Greenberg so they can hopefully in a timely manner approve the 26 fire agreement for Irvington.
Okay. So I'm
So-
gonna make, I'm sorry,
Uh,
question?
One more question, I'm sorry.
No, no
Do
worries.
we have a chart that shows how many calls they're making each year for this agreement? What this represents? In terms of,
Katie, you want to talk a little bit about the calculation? Was it doesn't just factor in calls, it factors in other costs too. It often factors in capital expenses.
Yeah, so the calculation is primarily based off of the village's budget for the fire department. So it takes into account any personnel services, equipment and supplies, any of like the fire department capital projects, like the purchase of apparatus that we've done, that gets included in the calculation. Um, Even utilities of the fire department, telephone, trainings, insurance, workers' comp, the service award program gets factored in there, and the debt service payments. So then the totals of all those expenses, there's an assessment ratio that Town of Greenberg provides to us, so that gets applied, which currently the ratio was 18% for the 2025 calendar year. That gets applied to the total expenses, so that's the amount that Greenberg pays us, and then 35% of that gets paid by the village to the Irvington Fire Company.
Are you guys following all that?
I have the I have like a
18% of
oh,
our
sorry,
fire
go ahead.
budget is paid by Greenberg.
Yeah, so it's actually it's two separate lines in our operating budget that we include this for. There's a line in the revenues, and that's the Greenberg like fire expense. And then there's also a corresponding expense line, which is what the village then pays out to the fire company. So it is a portion of the fire department expenses that do get paid back to us by Town of Greenberg.
And that's based on the valuation of the properties in East Irvington versus the properties in Irvington proper.
Correct.
Okay, I think I got it.
I do have like a one pager that I put together with the calculation of everything that went into the amount Greenberg's paying us. That was also given to Greenberg, so I can circulate that just so everyone can kind of get a more clear picture.
Okay.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion for the approval of the intermunicipal agreements with the Town of Greenberg regarding the East Irvington Fire Protection District for 2024 and 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Whereas the Village of Irvington and Town of Greenberg have reached agreement on the provision of fire protection services for the East Irvington Fire Protection District for the periods January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, and January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. And whereas the payment due from the Town of Greenberg under said agreement for 2024 is $128,341. And whereas the payment due for the Town of Greenberg under said agreement for 2025 is $212,063. And now therefore be it resolved to authorize the village administrator to execute the intermunicipal agreements with the Town of Greenberg regarding the East Irvington Fire Protection District. And further resolved to authorize the clerk treasurer upon receipt of payment from the Town of Greenberg to make a payment of $44,919 for 2024 and $74,222 for 2025 to the Irvington Fire Company in accordance with the terms and conditions of the intermunicipal agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Reports of the standing boards, committees, and officers. So trustee liaison reports. David?
Okay, you got me surprised here. But yes.
Keeping you all on your toes.
Right. Uh, Quickly, the TOD committee, we received 11 RFPs, ranging from 50 to 200 pages. So there's like 1,100 pages of information that we have to sort through to determine which of the consultants we are choosing. So we're in the process of doing that. It got a little complicated. We tried AI about 6 different times to help analyze these things, and we've got some partial positive, but we've broken up the committee into groups, and each group is taking 4 of the things and getting back together. And hopefully we'll have somebody selected in about 2 weeks for the board to come back and approve of that selection. And just of note, one of the applicants did our 2003 master plan. All of the applicants have sub groups that they used as consultants, and one of the applicants is using BBB as consultants. And the people that they are choosing from BBB are the same people that we're dealing with the Facilities Planning Committee. Neil Kettridge and Raina and what's her name. So that's TOD. FPC quickly, everybody's showing up tomorrow, 4 o'clock, on your toes, ready to answer any questions about Larry Longkey's favorite question. I don't care about anything, just tell me where you're moving the DPW to, which we're not telling anybody at this meeting.
Just letting you know, I can't be there at 4 o'clock. I'm teaching until 5, but I'll be there afterwards.
You don't need to be, but just hang out close to the fire department. One of our goals, by the way, of having us here is to having our members there is the guys from BBB don't really know some of our citizens. So one of our goals is to be able to intercede if necessary to keep everybody on project and on goal and not let somebody monopolize one of these individuals that we know are the monopolizing type.
So we want to facilitate, because we want to facilitate conversation. So we want people
Right.
to have access to the consultants and be able to ask questions. And so it's important that, to the extent that people are there, they get an access, want to ask specific questions, they have access. So yeah.
So we're facilitating that.
Yeah.
Then I'd just like to get just a little bit longer on the Woods Committee. This Saturday, our second speaker is coming in. That's David Orig from Harvard, from the Harvard Forest Program, which is one of our big programs. And he's a bigwig from Harvard in that area. So that's happening this Saturday from 12 to 2:30. And anyone is welcome to attend, although it's a sign-up thing and it's a very good thing. Then a quick summary of the $112,000 USDA grant. We have currently removed 91 invasive trees under that grant, and we have planted 107 2-inch caliber or 8 to 10 foot high trees, all done with volunteer labor. The invasiveness tree removal was paid, but the planting was done by volunteer labor. Of that $112,000, because of all this volunteer work, we still have $82,000 available to plant new trees. So that's really good. The wetland meadow is basically finished. We had 52 volunteers working on that over a month or so. It'll be a showcase across many villages when it's fully together. Then in general, there were 3 programs for students, one for 2nd and 3rd grade, one for 4th, 5th, one for 6th to 12. Involved 48 students over the fall, which brought in $10,000 in gross income. And in addition to that, we have our family weekend volunteer days. We had 174 participants over the fall program. So our total earned revenue for the fall was $12,000, and we've been managed $127,000 worth of grants. Total participants for the fall, including the speakers, etc., was 513. Then I just have one final little thing. I just had to get this out. CJ prepared a report on this USDA grant, and that report went to two of our funders. One is the USDA and American Forest Org. And the director, after receiving this, normally Fiona doesn't, she sends the report out and that's it. But after receiving it, the director of the American Forest Catalyst Fund, a woman by the name of Elena Belton, which she's in charge of giving grants to municipalities for forest stuff. She sent this note to Fiona, quote, "Thank you so much for sharing this amazing report. It's wonderful to see the community and especially young people engaged in this important work to make our forests more resilient. We deeply appreciate your and your team's impact. Thank you so very much. We are grateful to be in partnership with you." Aliana. That's my report.
Thank you. Kent?
Sure. So update from the school board, their meeting was postponed. I don't know if you noticed there was a storm or something, a little bit of snow. So they postponed to March 3rd for their next school board meeting. The science fair is a fun event each year that's coming up on March 14th at Irvington High School. I think that's at 10:30 in the morning. The talked about the 250 events, a little bit from traffic calming. There was some discussion around the 76 Broadway site, just safety concerns they brought up. They had a chance to talk to the police chief. There was just concerns of how do you set it up for left-hand turns, for traffic and that kind of thing. They're also interested in like having clearer signage for school zones, particularly asking about Main Street. And possible traffic cameras was another question. I think that's something that the governor had been pushing. The Historic Society actually asked me to relate to the group a specific thing. There's a new exhibit, The Treason of the Blackest Eye, which just opened very recently. It's about the story of Benedict Arnold and how he was outed very near here, a couple miles north. So they actually wanted to invite trustees and maybe some other local political politicians for like a special showing, maybe before one of our meetings. So they'd be happy to work that out with us if you are all interested. So we can talk about that offline if it's something that we'd like to do. A little update from the planning board. Just I had a very long meeting, so some highlights. I don't know if you've been following the Mercy University thing. I actually think it was in the dispatch recently, but they finally got their tennis house approved. So it was exciting news. I think it could potentially be a community space. I think when I was speaking to Tom Simmons at Mercy, he was really open to having it be something available to the broader community and not just for the university, which I think would be great. I know when I was speaking to the superintendent, like they're always looking for like places for the tennis teams to be able to play, especially off when it's not warm weather. So I think that maybe we can find some opportunities for that. And also 76 Broadway continuing to come up. More things that we've talked about, working out the parking issues, how to talk about, let's see, intersections of where traffic might take place, lines into the hotel and so forth. So just some general discussions, nothing too drastic. And just also talking about the parking space and how there would be probably a green space above the parking. And yes, and affordable housing units were also brought up. And that is it for my update. Oh, Marlene.
Josie? I'm just going counterclockwise.
Okay.
There's a method to the madness.
Our update from, once again, just huge thank yous to our DPW, fire, and police units who kept us all moving and safe during the storm. So I'll start off with, so far, February 7th, 1 inch of snow, February 11th, 1 inch of ice, February 16th, 1 inch of snow, February 22nd through the 23rd, 23 inches of snow. And then today, again, 1 inch of snow. And the roads have been miraculously clear. I actually got a really nice note from one of my neighbors just talking about how the roads looked great. And as I said at the beginning of the meeting, I can hear them cleaning right now into the night. So in addition to all the snow removal, the central garage inspecting and repairing equipment after the snow event, multiple call outs assisting IPD with icy conditions, maintenance repair for the generator at Village Hall, all the power, the salt vehicles and sanitation vehicles were all power washed. They were repairing potholes. So and then for the water department reading water meters, they kept all the water areas and equipment clear during the snowstorms that we've had. Let's see. Several repairs in residential areas. They shut off water to a vacant house on 60 Main Street with broken pipes. Yeah, okay. For RPAC, they did not have a February meeting. Their next meeting is actually March 11th. They'll be discussing and starting to construct the survey of residents relating to the parks and recreation program. So asking about, what programming would people like to see, like what parks are they using, et cetera. And they've also asked their members if anyone's interested in forming a subcommittee on our pack two. Yep, Kent, you just perked up. What's it about? It's about the dogs. So subcommittee for potential dog parks. I'll let you know if anyone steps up for that. For the green team, they also had to reschedule their talk. So it's now on Saturday, March 21st from 12 to 1:30. They're hosting David Orwig. He's a senior ecologist at Harvard Forest who studies how forests change, grow, and recover from disturbance. I think what's particularly interesting about this talk is that it will be at O'Hara, and the first part is a talk, and then they're actually going to go out into the woods so they can look at trees and look and see like what kind of recovery has happened. Also, the Green Team signed on to a current act at New York State Senate, which recognizes food gardens, native plant gardens, and pollinator habitats as valid and protective uses of residential land. Let's see. I also wanted to provide updates. So I'll be at the fire department tomorrow evening, but they were staffed from February 22nd at 6 through February 23rd at 4 p.m. and they responded to, it looks like 6 calls during that time, including a mutual aid call for to Dobbs Ferry. Yeah. And they lent the police their utility vehicle given road conditions. And then finally, I just wanted to let everyone know I sent out a save the date reminder to all of our, gosh, I think we have a lot of committees. I sent it to every committee head about our volunteer appreciation event, which is going to be on Friday, May 15th from 6 to 9 p.m. And that's all I have.
I guess
Larry,
I'm good. Yeah. So the community advisory board for our February meeting, we had a special guest, Amy Ziff, Irvington resident and founder and executive director of Made Safe, which is a nonprofit that works with companies to eliminate harmful chemicals from their products in the marketplace. And she came to talk about, her work and her ties to Irvington. And I think she also, led a really interesting talk and discussion with the students about, her career path and how these different connections, from kind of different parts of her career led her to the path to become, this director and working on this mission. And, as usual, the students asked really great, engaging questions, and it's always great to see that, um, and the community support that the students have in Irvington. Let's see, from the library. So the community-wide spelling bee is this Friday, February 27th at 7 p.m. at the Irvington Theater. All proceeds, 100% go to support the programs and services at the library. Tickets are $15. It's this Friday. We do still have a few more programs in the library to celebrate Black History Month. They're both online virtual programs. So tomorrow, Thursday, February 26th, 6:45 p.m., there's a talk on the life and home of Frederick Douglass led by National Park Service, Kevin Bryant. And it's an online talk about Frederick Douglass and also includes a virtual tour of his final home in DC. And then on Friday at 7 p.m., there's another talk with author Victoria Christopher Murray to discuss her newest historical fictional novel, Harlem Rhapsody. And yeah, I guess if people are not signed up for the library newsletter, please, sign up. There's always great programming, especially if you have kids. I mean, there's stuff for all ages, including adults. But I've been hearing really great things about the teen knitting. My teen was attending for a while, but has a conflict now, sadly. But the winter session of that is picked up again Mondays at 3:45, and yeah, tons of programming for people of all ages. That's all I have for this meeting.
Larry, when is the spelling bee again?
This Friday, 7 p.m., Irvington Theater.
Wow, there hasn't been a lot of publicity out on that. They need to send a blast out. Thank you.
Village administrators report.
Sorry about that. So I wanted, since there was a decent gap between our first meeting and this meeting, I wanted to touch back on something that happened on February 8th, which was Super Bowl Sunday, to give a special call out to the librarian and library board president, as well as the fire department on Super Bowl Sunday, right kind of smack in the middle of the game. A water pipe burst in the apartment above the library's program room and dropped a fair amount of water down through the floors onto the program floor. Thanks to the quick action of the fire chief, they actually shop vac a lot of the water up that night, and Servpro came in and did some additional work, and we were able to utilize the program space tomorrow for the facilities planning committee, largely because of their quick thinking and action to prevent the flooring from buckling from the water. So I wanted to give a shout out to the Irvington Library team and the fire department for quick action on that. There was on Sunday during the blizzard a sinkhole that formed on Hudson Road west of Clifton Place. This was caused by a prior water main break that occurred on the 2nd of February that has been resolved long ago, but because of the water coming down, it eroded some soil around where the blacktop sits, and it caused a sinkhole to form. The water department was on scene since they could get out there. When it first happened, it was in the middle of the blizzard and they couldn't get out safely. Water continues to run while crews are out there assessing the break. It's hard to say what caused the break. It oftentimes at this time of year is because of either the change in temperatures and the freeze thaw conditions that happens. But the road is opened up at 5:30 today without having to shut off water. They performed the work without having to do any impact to to cutting off anyone's water, which is something you don't want to do in the wintertime. In general, the water superintendent, James Englishby, wanted me to convey that while there's no guaranteed way to prevent water main breaks or sinkholes, issues in Irvington are addressed as soon as they are identified. If you see water running down the street, experience low water pressure, or notice discolored water, please contact the Village of Irvington Police Department at 914-591-8080 after hours, or call 914-591-7870 during business hours. The second number is the water department's main phone number. Also, for residents, please note that the following, there are some temporary parking changes that were blasted out this afternoon. For tomorrow, this 26th, there will be no parking on both sides from North Fair Street to the bottom of Main Street, as these sections are cleared of snow. Parking will reopen for people to park there. On Friday, February 27th, there will be no parking in the Aqueduct lot from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is to allow crews to get in there to clean all the snow that is still lingering in the parking lot there. Alternate side parking that normally would apply on Mondays will instead be in effect on Friday, February 27th from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., meaning no parking on the southwest side of South Dearman Street, South Fair Street, South Ecker Street, and South Cottonette Street. If you have any questions, please contact the DPW at 914-591-6044. Just as a reminder to residents, garbage and business district garbage collection will resume tomorrow, Thursday, February 26th. And just to second what Trustees Wybell said, we will encourage everyone to come out on Thursday, tomorrow, February 26th, from 4 to 8 in the Irvington Public Library to participate in the Facilities Planning Project drop-in information session. That's all for me. Thank you.
Clerk Treasurer's report.
My only report is Monday's board meeting will have the budget presentations from the Recreation and Parks Department and the theater. And then also all of the budget workshop documents, in addition to being attached to the agenda. I also upload them to a link under financial documents on the clerk treasurer department page in case anybody wants to like go back and review the documents. That's
Thank
it.
you. Thank you, Katie. Village Attorney's report.
I don't have a report.
Thank you, Marianne. Public comment.
There are no hands up online.
Okay, thank you. Review of action items. I can only think of one thing, Charles, which is the Octagon House, just to make sure the parking plan. Right? Anything else? I don't think so. Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mhm.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
And we have a second link, right?